Hey everyone, welcome back to another OKestWeekly recap where we cover all things handheld gaming. We had a big week of updates, leaks, and speculation to go over today. We'll cover updates across the board for all handheld companies, as well as software updates and game sales. We got confirmed APU specs for the ROG Ally, as well as price leaks. We'll also go over the 7840U that's been confirmed for numerous devices, and seems to match the Z1 Extreme for performance. If you enjoy these videos, do the OKS thing and boop that like button. And if you're new here to the channel, subscribe down below. Alright, let's dive into it. We'll kick things off today with some updates for the ROG Ally. We had an overwhelming number of updates for the Ally this week. Let's start things off with the APU information that we received from AMD. AMD released the full specifications of the Z1 series chips, which include the Z1 and Z1 Extreme. Both APUs are 4nm Zen 4 processors with RDNA 3 graphics and appear to have a large performance gap between the two of them on paper. We'll go over both APUs today, but first let's start with the regular Z1. The Z1 features a 6-core 12-thread Zen 4 processor, 4 RDNA 3 graphics cores, 22 megabytes of total cache, and AMD claims it's up to 2.8 Tflops. Moving over to the Z1 Extreme, we have an 8-core 16-thread Zen 4 processor, 12 RDNA 3 graphics cores, 24 megabytes of total cache, and AMD claims that it'll be up to 8.6 Tflops. As you can see, there's a large gap on paper between the two APUs. As far as benchmarks go, we have a few benchmarks that AMD provided. First, we have the performance for the Z1 in various games running at low settings, 1080p, and upscaled from 720p with RSR. Next, we have results from the Z1 Extreme for the same games running at the same settings. You can see that there's definitely an improvement. And finally, we have the two put side by side in this next graph. The games are running at 1080p native resolution, and as you can see from the result, it's kind of all over the place. In some games, the results are very similar between the two, and others, it's close to a double average frame rate advantage for the Z1 Extreme. Overall though, there is a consistent bump in performance when you're going from the Z1 to the Z1 Extreme. We also learned more information about the device through some leaks, an unboxing video, and a press event hosted by ASUS. Okay, first let's review the press event. So I reviewed about a dozen sources and I've done the best I can to try to consolidate the information into a bit of a list of some of the takeaways. So first off is the price. Now, we haven't really received anything official. We did receive a tweet from ASUS that they are going to be letting us know on May 11th. But until then, what we do have is that somebody at the event, one of the staff members, had said that the device will for sure be under 1,000 USD. Now, since then, we've gotten some leaks, but the only official word we have right now is that it is below 1,000 USD. We also got a chance to see the device in action, so we saw a little bit of the device's interface. We learned that we can open the Armory Crate app with a button that's on the top right of the controller. It's the bottom of the two buttons. We also learned that the Armory Crate has a built-in game launcher and you can customize the quick menu from it. Moving over to the left side of the controller, there's two buttons on the left. One is the back button and the second one actually opens up a quick menu that's called the Command Center. So this Command Center can be customized through the Armory app, but it appears to control your TDP, brightness, keyboard and controller settings, resolution, refresh rate, and an AMD RSR toggle. Iron Lord's podcast brought us some behind-the-scenes footage of some Q&A and a bit of an inside view of the press event. I recommend checking out his videos on this. It was actually kind of cool to see what goes on at these events. So a few things that we learned from his videos. A staff at the event said that the device is planned for up to 5 12GB for the US market. We learned that the joystick RGB lights can be turned off and that the Ally is only coming out in white at launch. They didn't mention if they have plans for other colors or not. We got information on a charging dock accessory. This was previously leaked by Snoopy Tech, and it shows a 65-watt power delivery, HDMI, and USB-A port. We found out that we can set up hotkeys and button mapping, and there's also customized dead zones and trigger sensitivity. As far as more official information from ASUS, we are expecting another event on May 11th, where they're expected to go over the official price and the official specs. Now, during this event, people are suspecting that the pre-orders are also going to go live, so make sure that you have your Best Buy account ready to go, update your credit card if you need to, and be ready to check out quickly so that you can get ahead of the scalpers. Next, let's move on to leaks. Now, I'm only going to cover the leaks that are still relevant. There's some leaks that previously we weren't sure about, but they've been confirmed by the press event. But the first leak that I'm going to cover is the one that's on everyone's mind is what's this thing going to cost? So we had a couple tweets from Snoopy Tech. He tweeted out the configuration for both the Z1 and the Z1 Extreme. For the Z1, apparently it's going to be a 256GB SSD, and it's going to retail for $599 USD. He also tweeted out that the Z1 Extreme configuration is going to have a 512GB SSD, and that it's going to retail for $699 USD. To further back up the $699 price for the Z1 Extreme, we had a Best Buy listing go live that showed the 512GB SSD for $699, and it also showed the release date as June 13th, 2023. If you haven't already had your fill of ROG Ally updates, I have one last one for you. So we actually had an unboxing of the device from the VR shortcut. We get to see what the box looks like as well as what's included inside. So if you want to see a sneak peek of what to expect, give his video a watch. And that's it for ROG Ally updates. So let's move on to some other devices. Moving over to the Steam Deck. This week's Steam Deck updates are all software related. We have a number of updates, including a feature that's currently being tested by Valve. First up is the release of Emulation Station 2.01. I won't go super in depth, but briefly, some of the changes that are included are a new theme downloader, various UI updates, and support for more emulators. For the full changelog, please visit the link in the video description. Our second update is also related to emulation, so there was an update to EmuDeck to version 2.1. This update brings a number of changes. It's actually a massive update. So it brings a new homebrew store where you can download homebrew games directly to your Steam Deck. They also added support for numerous new emulators, and there was a revamp to the user interface. They added a USB transfer wizard, which makes the process of transferring games and BIOS much easier by auto-detecting and moving over the files to the correct location. Part of the UI changes was a new way to manage your individual emulators, which should make updating the emulators a little bit easier. You can now migrate your EmuDeck installation to an external storage easily with the new tool that they added in this update. There's a number of other new updates, so check out the link in the video description for the full changelog. For our last update, it appears that Valve is testing some saturation controls for the Steam Deck. Now for this particular update, I would recommend going to the website in the video description because they have a slider where you can actually compare the stock Steam Deck image to the new saturation that they've added. If you've been watching my sources for my Steam Deck updates, you can see a theme, so definitely check out steamdeckhq.com if you're looking for Steam Deck updates. They have regular updates and they seem to cover everything. And that's all the updates I have for the Steam Deck, so let's move on to AOKZOE. The biggest update for AOKZOE is that they have officially confirmed the 7840U will be powering their A1 Pro, which is launching on Indiegogo on April 30th at 10 AM Eastern Time. AOKZOE released the price and models ahead of time, and it was definitely a surprise to see what they're offering. All models have at least 32GB of RAM, and they even included a model with 64GB of RAM. The base model starts at $799 and has 512GB of storage and 32GB of RAM. The top model, which sells for $1159, includes 2TB of storage and 64GB of RAM. Those who purchase within the first 96 hours also get a protection bag, a glass screen protector, a USB-C HDMI hub, a flash drive, and some joystick caps. We should get official specs from AMD for the 7840U APU, but it appears that the 7840, according to everything we found, is extremely similar to the Z1 Extreme. So we should expect similar performance between the Ally with the Z1 Extreme and the AOKZOE A1 Pro. We're also expecting the A2 to launch sometime in June, so if you're looking for a redesign or possibly a smaller device, keep the A2 in mind, as it should match the same specs as the A1 Pro. Check out the video description for the Indiegogo link for the A1 Pro as well as the A2. Moving on over to OneXPlayer. Not much of an update this week. We did learn that the OneXFly will be using a 7000 series chip. However, we don't know which one they're going to go with. Originally, they planned to have an update for this month. However, it seems that it's been pushed back to May. So that's pretty much all I have for the OneXPlayer for this week. So let's move on to AYN. Unfortunately, there's not really any updates for AYN. They originally planned to get review units out by the end of the month, but it doesn't seem like they've met that target. There was a gameplay footage video that popped up, but that's about all we've got. So let's hope that things are still on track, that maybe at the end of May, the backers can get their devices, but we'll see. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do that if they haven't sent out the review units yet. Okay, so let's move on to Ayaneo. A lot of news from Ayaneo this week. We learned a little bit more of the upcoming Ayaneo 2S and Geek 1S, the Ayaneo Kun, as well as the Ayaneo Slide. We learned more information for the upgrade kits, including the Ayaneo Air speaker upgrades, as well as the Neo 2 and Geek heatsink upgrade. Some great news is that the upgrade kits for the Air Pro speakers, as well as the Neo 2 heatsink, are free for those that are purchased already, and all you need to do is pay for shipping. The Air speakers are expected to come around mid-May, and the Neo 2 and Geek heatsink for the end of May. A little bit more on upgrades. Ayaneo also talked about motherboard upgrades coming for the Neo 2 and the Air Plus. For those that have not had their device shipped, they were given the option for the upgrade for free. However, there is an anticipated 4-month wait until those are shipping out. So those are up to people to either choose to have the upgraded kit or to receive the 6800U. For those that already received their devices, they're planning to offer an upgrade option. So you could upgrade from the 6800U to the 7840U. We don't have prices or availability for this, but we'll hopefully have more information soon. For new devices, we got official confirmation that the Ayaneo 2S is in fact sporting a 7840U, which should put the performance right alongside the Ally with the Z1 Extreme. One other thing to note is the Ayaneo 2S and Geek 1S are both going to include the new heatsink, so it should have better heat dissipation compared to the current ones. And it appears that they've added a new color option for the Geek. There's going to be an 800p white version. I'm assuming it's going to run the 7840U APU, but we haven't had that confirmed yet. We also heard that the Ayaneo Slide is still underway and that the structure and heat dissipation have been optimized and are going well. And lastly, for the device updates, we heard about the Ayaneo Kun, which we don't have a ton of information about. It looks like it's going to be a large handheld, and we did get a look though at the battery, which seems to be much larger than any of the other batteries that are currently in any Ayaneo devices. So we'll need to stay tuned to learn more. We also got some information for ISpace 2.0, which appears to have many redesigned UI elements coming. It seems that the side menu has been reworked and it gives off some strong iOS vibes with the new toggle switches. There isn't a release date yet, however the software is currently in preview 1 stage beta. That's all that I have now for Ayaneo updates. Let's move on over to GPD. For GPD, we learned that there's going to be a WinMax 2 refresh and it's going to have a 7840U APU. It seems like all the handheld manufacturers seem to be switching over to this new chip. So it's going to be a super interesting time to see how this chip does and how it compares to the Z1 Extreme and the ROG Ally. Now we're still waiting for the official specs from AMD, but we can head over to GPD's website and they actually listed the spec sheet. So on the spec sheet, they break down the new processor, and it seems from what they've claimed that the 7840U matches and actually even exceeds the Z1 Extreme. So according to GPD, it has a little bit higher of a T-flop rating of 8.92 versus the Z1 Extreme that's coming in at 8.6. Of course, we need to wait for the official specs from AMD, but this is currently the claim. A second bit of news for GPD is actually a fix for the Win 4 display stutter. So if we take a look at Reddit, there's a fix that includes connecting an IC reflashing tool, and you connect 3 pins to the side of the motherboard. The post details where to find it on the Win 4 by showing a diagram, as well as an actual picture of where the 3 connectors are. A second, much less involved solution was also presented that uses custom resolution utility, where you can set up a 59.2 Hz refresh rate, which supposedly fixes the stuttering issue. There may have been other GPD news that I've missed, but with all the updates that have been going on across the board, it's actually been quite difficult to keep on top of it all. So did I miss anything for GPD? If so, let me know in the comments and let me know where you found it. Alright, moving over to software, we have a bit of a different software update today. I didn't have any specific software to our devices, but I wanted to cover the Activision Blizzard acquisition from Microsoft. So I'm not sure who's been following this, but I'll give you a bit of the backstory. So Microsoft has been in the process of acquiring Activision Blizzard for a large sum of $68.7 billion. So as this deal has been an ongoing thing for a while now, Sony, in particular the PlayStation department, has been fighting this acquisition at every step. Microsoft has signed a 10-year agreement to bring Call of Duty to numerous other platforms, including Nintendo, which is to combat PlayStation's argument that the potential loss of the Call of Duty franchise would do irreparable damages to the PlayStation brand. So now that you're caught up on a brief summary of the drama, the latest news came in this week that the regulatory body in the UK, namely the CMA, has moved to block the deal, believing that it would stifle competition for cloud gaming. Microsoft and Activision have stated that that they'll be appealing the decision and are prepared to go to court to fight the decision further. So some further impact of this CMA's decision could be the effect it has on other regulatory bodies such as the FTC and the EU regulators. They may look at the CMA's decision and consider it when they're deciding what stance they're going to officially take on this. The deal's current deadline, I believe, is sometime in June, so we're not sure if this is actually going to be something that can be done beforehand if they have to fight this in court. That may push this for years to come. So what do you think of this acquisition, Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard? Do you care about this? Is this something that you think is a good thing for the industry? What's your take on it? Let me know in the comments and let's discuss this issue. And our last section is game deals. So we're going to head over to deals.gg. So Yakuza Like a Dragon is on sale. We've got a number of games from Atlas from the Persona series and Shin Megami Tensei. And we've also got some games on sale from Square Enix, Nier Replicant. And our free game this week from Epic Games is Breath Edge. And I believe there's some more sales on Steam. So let's head over there. So there seems to be a sale for Golden Week. There's a Bandai Namco sale with up to 80% off. There's a number of games from Square Enix, including Final Fantasy VII Remake, and we have a few sales for the Tom Clancy series. For example, you can get Ghost Recon Breakpoint for 80% off. So take a look, see if any of these deals interest you, and hopefully you'll find something that you enjoy. And we're finally at the end of the video. This week was quite a long video with all the updates we had across the board, so thank you to those that stuck with me till the end. And if you enjoyed this video, leave me a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more content, and thank you for watching.